We are going to be looking at some creepy videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. This first video by 5150 Farm and Rescue on TikTok is pretty freaky and I really can't explain it.
Okay, actively raining. My horses are frozen in time. Is this a glitch in the matrix? What's happening? There is shelter. There is shelter. I think they're frozen. This is so weird, you guys. It's so weird. I'm so first one. No one is moving. What?
Now, I don't know if this is a glitch in the matrix or what, but you can even see the first horse stuck in mid-step, but you can also see their ears moving. So I doubt this is a glitch in the matrix or they're frozen in time. I did look this up further, and horses, they can do something known as a shutdown where they completely freeze, generally when they're in a lot of pain or they're in great fear of something nearby, like a predator. But they also do go on to say that horses do not shut down together. They do not shut down in packs or herds. And yet it's raining, but horses universally do not fear rain. Matter of fact, sometimes they even enjoy being out in the rain. Also is the fact that this is this woman's farm. You would think she would be familiar seeing these group of horses or a group of horses freezing up, but it seems like this spooked her. So yeah, this video is pretty weird. If you have been subscribed to me for quite some time now on my other channel, Minutes of Horror, you'll know I've been doing plenty of videos showing animals acting nervous and acting scared or on high alert just being outside. I also made videos where I stated I noticed the same thing about my dogs when I let them out. They want to go to the bathroom, but then they want to rush right back in the house. They do not want to be left outside alone for too long. And a lot of you were leaving me comments saying you were noticing the same thing about your animals as well. They are acting very strange when outside. Some of you were saying you didn't notice any difference in your animal's behavior, but a lot of us did. And it seems like some of these animals know something that we don't. And given the fact they're constantly spraying in the skies, chemicals, and so forth, maybe these horses know that there's something off about that rain. And further proving the point that there may be something off about that rain that the horses do not understand and it's spooking them, this next video comes from the paranormal chick on TikTok.
Something weird happened on the day of April 27, 2025 in Central Valley, California. Something weird happened on the day of April 27, 2025 in Central Valley, California. This witness filmed a video of blue rain that came down, and he has no explanation for it. He's actually asking people if they saw this or if it was near them. But this almost reminds me about a case, a prolific case that happened back in the 80s, early 90s of a small town in Washington. It was hit with this jelly-like gloop from the sky. It literally covered the town, and it happened over the course of a couple of days. They reported it to the government, and nobody would listen to them. And luckily, a brother and a sister who were EMTs saved some of it and had it tested, ended up finding out it was living human cells, and a lot of those townspeople ended up getting some form of cancer and dying. It's interesting. Take a look at this. Tell me what you think, and if you were in the area or the surrounding areas and saw the blue rain, let us know.
So I live here in the Central Valley, and it was raining a couple minutes ago. Can anyone explain the blue water?
With them manipulating the weather, seeding the clouds, spraying things into the skies, it does not surprise me one bit that we're going to start to see rain look like this. Now, she does mention human cells raining in the 1980s, which was a real event, but the rain was yellow. And something like this also reminds me of the rain in Dubai, that massive rainfall that happened, I believe, last year, where the skies turned green. And we do know that they were cloud seeding the skies in Dubai. This video comes from Mushroom Marks on TikTok.
I'm sure most have heard about the Portugal and Spain blackout. Like shit tons of people have lost power in those two nations. And initially they thought it may have been a cyber attack. I was thinking maybe it was a coronal mass ejection from the sun that can cause power outages, so decided to look into it. Have you heard what they're saying now? This is interesting. I don't know what the fuck to make of this. So the latest reports are now that a rare atmospheric phenomenon involving extreme temperature variations in the interior of Spain has been identified as a key factor. Extreme temperature variations in the interior of Spain. Portuguese grid operator REN has stated that these temperature variations have caused an anomalous oscillation in high voltage lines, disrupting the electrical system and leading to cascading disconnections and failures. Extreme temperature variations causing anomalous oscillations in high voltage lines. I'm sorry, this sounds shady as fuck. Like there's something else going on. No idea what. I don't dare even assume what the fuck this could be. Fucking drones, aliens, electromagnetic fucking problems with the earth and stuff. Who fucking knows? But it's looking interesting. Maybe it's part of the shift. So I just wanted to share because I find that fascinating. So, all right, thanks.
I am still very fascinated about this blackout that happened in Spain, Portugal, and parts of France because, again, Portugal said that it was a rare atmospheric phenomenon that caused this blackout, even though nobody has confirmed what this phenomenon was, not even Spain. However, Spain has come out and said that Spain's meteorological agency said that it had not detected any unusual meteorological or atmospheric phenomena Monday, and no sudden temperature fluctuations were recorded at their weather stations. So the question happens to be, why would Portugal come right out there and say that? Portugal did not use the words maybe or we think or we guess. No. They said due to extreme temperature variations in the interior of Spain, there were anomalous oscillations in the very high voltage lines, a phenomenon known as induced atmospheric vibration, it was quoted as saying. Spain is now coming out and saying that there was an issue at their power plant. There was an issue with a grid that caused this power outage, but one would think that they would have known that yesterday, but this news is now coming out today. But there are other articles as of 30 minutes ago from this morning where Spain is still trying to figure out what happened as they don't know what happened. There is just so much back and forth, so much confliction, so much confusion, and to me, I just feel like this is one giant test run to see how people will react certain locations when they take down the grid. Because it seems like every 2 to 3 months there is a major power outage in a certain location around the world. This next creepy video comes from Moon Henry on TikTok. It's actually a video I uploaded on Minutes of Horror as well, or a story I uploaded on Minutes of Horror, but it was removed after people had reported the video. But take a look at this video and then I'll give my take at the end because something weird is happening here.
Something massive went in front of the sun this morning, and of course, like usual, they're trying to hide it. And this whole thing made people look farther into all of their scans, and they find a whole bunch of footage where they're just straight up turning it off when weird things start happening. It is actually ridiculous because while this stuff was going on, the Schumann frequency at the same exact time was going insane. I mean, it's crazy. We have these solar flares and we have these auroras going crazy where no one ever sees them while these weird planetary bodies are just flying around the sky. And before the simple-minded try to tell me it's a lunar eclipse, yeah, there is no lunar eclipse or partial lunar eclipse this April, and not until September actually. I mean, beside that, do y'all really think that the moon's what's causing the sun and vice versa to eclipse? This was the sky map at the exact time it happened, and of course the sun is nowhere near the moon. Like it was on April 28th, and y'all can see how fast the thing was moving. And apparently when crazy things are going on, they are always cutting the feed on these certain cameras, just gone. People are gonna find out at some point, there is way more than just the sun and the moon in the sky. You see the sun over here, but you got that thing right in the sky. They call them the blue and the red Kachina, see, 2 lens flares. And I almost wonder if these Kachinas are the nodes that people speak of, making them blank out their own equipment. And at some point we gotta realize that everything they have told us and showed us is a complete lie, and we have no idea how things really work.
So here's the thing, because this one's tricky. This is not actually a lunar eclipse. This was a partial solar eclipse. But still, there were no partial solar eclipse or any solar eclipses that were scheduled for April. That is true. The thing is, when people witnessed this on NASA's live feed, NASA instantly took the feed down. A day later, or a couple days later, NASA went to the media and then reported of a partial solar eclipse that was only visible from space. Could not see it on Earth, you could only see it from space. So the question happens to be, given the fact that they never reported of a partial or total solar eclipse that was going to occur in the month of April, and one had already occurred back in March of 2025, the next one isn't scheduled until September. Could this be NASA's cover-up for what people had witnessed on their live feed? Because the only thing we can do right now is trust NASA that they are telling us the truth about this partial solar eclipse only witnessed from space. And a lot of us, we believe NASA lies, so how can we trust that they're telling us the truth now? This was also seen only one day before Europe had its worst power outage in Europe's history. The problem is also, this is not the first time that NASA has cut live feed after something mysterious had been witnessed involving the sun.
Hey guys, this is just amazing, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Now look at that. Did you see the cube coming out? There is a cube on the right side coming out of the sun, and right after that frame, a big glitch that covers 25%. Watch it. There it is. There it is. Gone. Glitch. Did you see that? Okay, watch it again. It covers. Here it comes. Here it comes. 2 frames of the cube coming out of the sun, and then a huge glitch. 1, 2, glitch. Hey guys, this is just amazing, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Now look at that. Did you see the cube coming out? There is a cube on the right side coming out of the sun, and right after that frame, a big glitch that covers 25%. Watch it. There it is. There it is. Gone. Glitch. Did you see that? Okay, watch it again. It covers. Here it comes. Here it comes. 2 frames of the cube coming out of the sun, and then a huge glitch. 1, 2, glitch.
So again, this all boils down to, do you trust NASA's word or do you not? And if you do not, then the question happens to be, what passed by the sun, and does this have any correlation to what happened in Europe? But when it comes to actually being in Spain, people are saying there's a creepy and odd feeling in the air. This video comes from Adventure Elliot YT on TikTok.
The scene in Spain is honestly creepy and post-apocalyptic. Now, you would never be able to tell. It seems like life's just continuing, but literally there are no traffic lights. It's the last of light we're gonna see here with this sky, with the natural lighting. Everyone's concerned, everyone's suspicious. What the hell is going on? The last people walking are like suspicious. All the businesses are closed. Everything is closed except for the Chinese stores. And this guy is, just walking to wherever he's walking, but people are very just like, what the hell is going on? And traffic is just moving without traffic lights. It is just a strange situation. You see how this person stopped for them even though there's no traffic light. Normally there would be a traffic light. Is this the beginning of something more serious than we know? It's all speculation at this point, but yeah, guys, it is weird. It is weird. The energy is weird. And you would never know because the weather in Malaga, Spain, and the south of Spain is absolutely beautiful. All right, guys, we're going to go find out what's happening in the center of the city. See you on the next video.
Somebody left a comment by saying that this is probably all a test, and that's exactly what I said. They are probably shutting down certain locations to see how certain people react in certain locations. That's why, again, we are seeing power outages in certain parts of the world every 2 to 3 months. Don't forget, we also had CrowdStrike. People are asking, how is he using a cell phone if there's a power outage? And that could be due to multiple reasons. The cell towers could have backup generators, or he could be using Starlink or something along those lines. In this next segment, this has nothing to do about TikTok videos or anything like that, but it actually has to do about one of my previous videos. In one of my previous videos on Minutes of Horror, I had spoken about how Klaus Schwab, the former chairman of the World Economic Forum, he had stepped down in what he said his 88th year, while the Pope passed away at 88 on the same exact day. Taking his place as the head of the World Economic Forum is this individual right here, Peter Brabeck. Now, we all saw his photos. There's something going on with his left eye. His left eye was bloodshot, and he said that it was a undisclosed illness. The so-called powers that be always seem to have something going on with their left eye. But somebody said to me, if you take a look at the 2025 Economist magazine cover, you will see what looks like a face, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. But if you take a look at that right eye, it looks very similar to Peter Brabeck's eye, the red eye. Now, yes, Peter Brabeck's red eye is on his left, and the magazine cover, the face, the red eye, is on the right. But these people deal with inversions, as above, so below. So what is shown to us here on the right does not really matter. The crown of Satan, Saturn, sits on top of his head. Now, is the magazine cover telling us that all of these events are in the face of the World Economic Forum, which makes a lot of sense given the fact that all the world leaders, no matter where they are, go to the World Economic Forum, and all their speeches are very similar. Could I be wrong? Maybe, but it's an interesting thought given the fact that we have the man with the one red eye in charge of the World Economic Forum, and on the magazine cover, the 2025 Economist magazine cover, sits the face of the man with the one red eye. This next creepy video comes from Official Minutes of Horror on TikTok. What? This story is scary, especially if you have food allergies. This individual right here, Michael Schuher, he was a former Disney employee. When I say former, that is because Michael Schuher was fired by Disney, and not only that, he must also serve 3 years in federal prison, forfeit his computers, and on top of everything else, he has to pay $687,776.50 in restitution to his victims. Well, does anybody remember that news story not too long ago where this woman, she ate at a Disney restaurant, she informed the waiter she has food allergies, she was looking at the menu, she saw something that did not have anything that she was allergic to, she ate it, and she passed away after having an allergic reaction to the very same food that was not supposed to have anything in it that she was allergic to. Disney told her husband, tough luck trying to sue because you signed up for Disney Plus. Well, Michael here, when he was a Disney employee, he was hacking the food menus to remove the food allergies. He was adding profanities to the menus, he was changing the fonts, but more importantly, he was removing the allergy information from the menus. He had worked as a menu production manager for Disney and was responsible for the creation and distribution of all restaurant menus, including the digital menus, Fox 35 reported. He was terminated on June 13, 2024. The woman passed away in October of 2023 after eating at that restaurant, and they're not saying how long Michael worked for Disney. There was also another woman, Dominique Brown. She was a Disney influencer. She was 34, who also passed away of a food allergy while eating at Disney. Now, she passed away 2 months after Michael was fired, but who knows if any of these menus had been fixed. Because remember, Michael has to pay restitution to his victims, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're not saying who his victims were. Now, attorney David Haas, who represents Michael, said his client had a disability that impacted his employment at Disney, and this is what caused him to hack these computers. I don't know how that works, but this is crazy, and again, this is outright scary for anybody that has a food allergy. Yeah, this story is very crazy, and it's even more wild that around the same time that he was hacking these food menus, these people were losing their lives eating things that they were allergic to when those menus said that there was nothing inside these food items that they were allergic to. The question also happens to be, what victims was he paying restitution to? Is it possible he's paying restitution to the families of those who are deceased based on his actions?
Those people who might think this is insane.
Just come hang out with us for a bit. I bet you any money by the end of the weekend you're going to leave with a microchip. My name is Anastasia Sin. I'm a magician.
Unlock.
And a biohacker.
You can even hear my hand because my hand has like 8 magnets in it. So my whole hand is now a speaker.
Home blues.
This goes to my website. This is a LED light. There's like a TED Talk, how we're all cyborgs.
You are all actually cyborgs. Suddenly we're a new form of Homo sapiens.
It really resonated with me. My house, my car, my clothes are my exoskeleton. Without them, I'm not exactly me. So adding more technology didn't really seem that weird.
It's literally a chunk of silicone with a battery and a circuit board.
If you are someone who hacks your skin with an electronic, we call them a grinder. Let's see what we got in the Dangerous Things kit of how to become a cyborg. All right, let's see what it says, shall we?
Hey, ABC News. Let me show you what a body can do.
This is the stuff that really creeps me out, and I know some people are going to say that it's their bodies, they can do what they want with it, But to me, I feel like this is going to be the push as we go into the future, transhumanism. There's going to be more and more news articles, more videos, more movies, why you should implant yourself with microchips and be a part of technology. Humans are obsolete. Be one with technology. That video also, if you did not catch it, was also filled with symbology, one-eyed symbolism, her tattoo, the last name, them being magicians. It was just a video that did not give off a very good vibe, especially when we're talking about transhumanism. That is the goal for the future, and perhaps these are the people that will have the access to the smart cities while they burn everything else down to the ground.
Big Food just found a way to hack Ozempic, and they're doing it in secret. The story is actually crazy. Okay, so there's a food laboratory in Northern California called Matson that is, quote unquote, creating the future of food. It's run by this guy named Justin Shimmick, PhD. So you know he is a smart guy, and he has monetized his intelligence quite well. It says for nearly 50 years, Matson has conceptualized, developed, branded, and scaled hundreds of product lines, and in the process created billions of dollars in revenue for clients. And right now, their clients, Big Food, is asking them to do experiments that will reformulate ingredients so that their food can bypass the effects of Ozempic, Wegovy, and other GLP-1 weight loss drugs. Because from a financial perspective, people on these weight loss drugs are buying less food. Walmart CEO John Furner recently told Bloomberg News that the company is seeing signs that people taking GLP-1 agonist appetite suppressant medications are buying, quote, less units, slightly less calories, which equals less profit. New York Times has reported that sales are down in sweet baked goods and snacks, and the industry is weathering a downturn. That's a big problem for these food executives. So in response, the food companies are designing what they call GLP-1 optimized products. In layman's terms, they're trying to make the food more addictive, even more addictive than they already are, because we know that food is already pretty addictive. Quote, there is little the industry hasn't tried to keep health-conscious consumers eating. Companies conceal clouds of nostalgic aromas into packaging to trigger Proustian reverie. When they discovered that noisier chips induced people to eat more of them, snack engineers turned up the crunch. Food technologists found a way to amplify the intensity of artificial sweeteners to hundreds of times beyond sugar's natural flavor. The structure of salt crystals can be altered to accelerate the speed at which they absorb into the chemical pathways that signal saltiness, allowing the brain to perceive the flavor more intensely. In the chemosensory world, referring to the science of how chemicals provoke sensations, almost anything is possible. Yeah, I suppose almost anything is possible, but I think the certainty here is that we're going to be left with a bunch of people who are still obese, taking drugs with, pretty bad side effects that no longer work. That, I would say, is not ideal. And worse yet, it's all being done in secret, okay? When asked, Justin Shimmick wouldn't say which companies he was working with to develop these GLP-1 products, saying, quote, we are professional secret keepers. These people are sick.
That to me is quite terrifying, and it's not about Ozempic, them bypassing Ozempic, because Ozempic itself has a whole host of side effects and problems. It's the fact that they are still targeting food, making food more addicting and more poisonous, and they are out there in the open with it. So who knows what they're actually doing in secret? It should be downright illegal the way they manipulate and alter food.
But when I talk about ships to the outer lands and Kiribati or Kiribati, right? Have you seen my stuff on that?
No.
Oh man, it's we found these ships in the middle of Antarctica, and if you unwrap it, they're really going to the outer lands. I'll run through it real quick for you if you want.
Sure.
Because I got you know what? Let me run through it because this is worth seeing because it's going to make you laugh. So this is we found you can go on a ship tracking website and see, find cargo ships, cruise ships, track them. They're all over the place. You can track them, right?
Yeah.
You click on any one of these dots, it'll tell you where the ship is, where it's going, sometimes what it's carrying, captain's name, right?
Yeah, I have seen you talk about this.
And so we got this ship that is 905 miles inside of Antarctica. We got another one that was 730, the other one 905, and we clicked on the ship, and it said that it was 850 meters long, 80 meters wide, which is gigantic. And that's all that said. Didn't say anything else. It said it was registered to the nation of Kiribati or Kiribati. Okay. So let me show you what that looks like. So
It's a small island in the Pacific, yeah?
it's a small, but here's something very funny, right? Wait, also when we go to here it is out here, you can't even see it. It's like a K, right? I had to put a pin on it because you can't even see it until you zoom in. And America, China, Vietnam, other countries are like, this is a very important trade route, right? Now notice the spelling, Kiribati. That's how it's spelled, right?
Kiribati. Okay.
Kiribati, right? And so you search Kiribati on Google Earth and it brings you right there until my video started going viral. Now it goes to another island. Okay. It goes to another island and they changed Kiribati to a different name, right? Real quick on Kiribati, there's a Captain Cook hotel. I mean, bed and breakfast, whatever. Right? Captain Cook, that's kind of, right?
Sounds familiar.
And when we look at all the ships that are at Kiribati, they all have lacking information. It says their destination is either unknown or Christmas Island, and that's all it says.
No
Island, right?
way.
Some people say Kiribati is called Christmas Island, you know, but if you know all the stuff with Christmas Island, Santa, right? Children, right? So who knows what's going on there, right? But this is part I want to get to, and then I'm gonna finish it though. They say that there was nuke testing on Kiribati. Whenever I hear nuke testing, I know that they're trying to keep people away, right? And so look at these pictures. I'll just summarize what this is there. This is a Navy guy or an Army guy, whatever, that said, yeah, it was so bad when the bomb went off. He put his hands over his face and he could see the bones to his hand.
You could see the X-rays of your hands through your closed eyes.
He's watching Bugs Bunny. He's watching too much Bugs Bunny, right? Yeah. And then these guys here, right? They're walking around. That's a nuclear bomb. That looks more like a smoldering fire. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. This guy's going that way. This guy's like, oh, la, 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 la. I mean, you'd be running, hitting the deck. You wouldn't, are you freaking kidding me? And then they use this picture, which has been used for the last 40 years, the same picture everywhere. But they're trying to make people say, well, I don't want to go to Kiribati, right? I don't want to go there.
I don't want to shave my daughter twice a day in the future.
Yeah. So now when you search Kiribati, it brings you to this island, right? Which is on the other side of the world almost. Watch, I'm going to zoom out, go over to Kiribati, right? And check it out. They changed the name. Now it's Karamati.
Gaslighting you.
Right? But no, nothing. It's now Karamati.
Kiritimati.
Kiritimati. And I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. People out there are like, it's Karabas. Whatever. I'm like, that's not how it's spelled, brother. But just for those of you that are new to this, I think that, those ships, if you took this map, and it was like this big, and I wrapped it around a basketball, all of these other lands would become Antarctica at the bottom of the basketball because they'd all be crunched together. So maybe there's a base out here. Maybe there's a base over here. Maybe there's another base over here. How would anyone know unless they tried to meet in the middle, which no one has ever done?
Yeah.
No one's ever done it, right?
And it's just such a perfect way to hide land. Like you and Tanner Stewart explain it so well in the next level. Like
So what if it is an important trade route out here to the outer lands? Maybe we're getting computer chips from out there, weapons, tuna fish. Maybe we're trading. Maybe that's where all the are going. Who knows, right? Yeah. Because until people have heard me talk about this, no one's ever heard of Kiribati. So how would you know if there's a trade route going out there to the outer lands? No one's allowed to go out here.
Yeah.
And how do you get a working ship 800 meters, hundreds of miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica?
Might have to acquire one somehow.
How would you get it onto the land? It's 2 miles high.
Right.
Okay? It's not there. Antarctica, as described, doesn't exist.
I really like this last video a lot, and whether there's extra lands or not that the public is aware of, they're definitely hiding something on Google Earth. Google Earth is heavily censored. They only show us what they want to show us. And if you remember when I covered Beauvais Island, there was also trades going on Beauvais Island that the CIA on their website also posted. But now if you look at it today, you won't see those trades on there. But I actually have screenshots of those when I was covering Beauvais Island. There was trades going on of paper, textiles, foods, clothing, things like that on an island that has no civilization whatsoever. So it really makes you wonder what is actually going on inside of Beauvais Island. They do indeed change names when they want to go ahead and hide something. If you remember as well, Ministry of Humanity was planted on Beauvais Island, so whenever anybody searched up Beauvais Island, they were always redirected to the Ministry of Humanity. So they are always lying to us, and I definitely think they are lying to us when it comes to what's in Antarctica. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.